Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel today. We're going to hit the rewind button a little bit. I know that we had that major announcement on the handgun roster lawsuit, the victories that we saw there. Something that we haven't touched on yet on this channel, however, is the President of the United States, or if you, like me, watch Steven Crowder, the former Vice President of the United States, Joe Biden, found himself in Monterey Park, which is in LA County, last week to talk about some executive orders that he had plans for. And with us today to talk about it, he is the Executive Director of Gun Owners of California. He is also on the Board of Directors for Gun Owners of America and Gun Owners Foundation, Sam Paredes. Sam, thank you very much for being with us today.
Hey, little buddy. It's always good to be with you. I appreciate the opportunity, and it is an honor.
Well, thank you very much. So I wanted to go through this. We got a short clip just to get you back in the mood. The press conference was long. A lot of it was hard to understand. But here is Joe Biden talking about some of the stuff he wants to do with firearms.
Thoughts that make them a danger to themselves and others, and temporarily remove that person's access to firearms. And it promotes this executive order, safe storage for firearms, something every responsible gun owner agrees with. Second thing it does, the executive order ramps up our efforts to hold the gun industry accountable. It's the only outfit you can't sue these days. It does that by calling out for an independent government study that analyzes and exposes how gun manufacturers aggressively market firearms to civilians, especially minors, including by using military imagery.
Okay. So, I mean, Sam, he's hitting on all the talking points here. You know, he's talking about advertising to minors, which has already been addressed here in California. He's talking about background checks. He's talking about magazines and all of these things that we've been hearing for years and years here. What's your take on this press conference? What is it that he's actually seeking to do nationally with these executive orders?
Well, it was funny and sad to listen to Joe Biden give that press conference about his executive order, because a lot of the stuff that he's talking about is already part of the law. And then what he's talking about doing makes those things unconstitutional. It brings attention to these issues that are being challenged in the courts right now, and over they're being found to be unconstitutional. So with regards to the storage laws, California has storage laws, other states have storage laws, and they will be deemed to be unconstitutional in time because they already have. If people remember, in Justice Scalia, in the original case on gun control, held that it is unlawful not only for the federal government, but for state and local governments, in Heller versus Washington, D.C. This was the primary subject matter of the lawsuit, was that governments cannot force people to keep guns stored in a manner to which they are not immediately available to them for defense in the home, or, in particular in the home. So this mandatory storage, or keeping them disassembled, or keeping them locked up, is unconstitutional for the law to force people to do that. Now, common sense and logic, and the goodwill and the responsibility that is being exhibited by the vast majority of all gun owners in America and in California, proves that people are careful about storing their guns, because we have so few accidents. We have so few occasions where guns are taken from somebody's home by somebody who is unauthorized to have them. Yes, they are stolen on occasion. On a lot of occasions, they're stolen, but still, the government cannot force people to keep their guns locked up and not immediately available to them for self-defense in the home as a matter of law. Now, through the educational processes that the CRPA and other organizations promote, we teach responsible gun ownership, responsible gun storage, and we advise parents with young kids as to how they might be able to not only protect their kids from having unlawful access or unauthorized access to the guns, but still have the ability to have them available to themselves for immediate access. We talk about that all the time. We have programs on firearm safety and safely, wisely storing guns in your own homes. We don't need the stinking law to force us to do it in a manner that is unconstitutional. So that's number one. Secondly, he you know is attacking the gun industry and saying that people should have the ability to sue gun manufacturers. They already have that ability. If a gun manufacturer manufactures something that is defective or has a problem with it or somehow illegally transfers firearms, they can be sued. What they can't be sued for is frivolous lawsuits that say that because a criminal used one of their guns to commit a crime, that it is the fault of the manufacturers. That they cannot sue on that. That's the limitation on suing gun manufacturers. So Joe Biden, he makes it sound like, there's no action that you can take. In fact, firearms are treated like any other product. If they're defective, yes, there's a liability that manufacturers have if they produce a defective product. But the misuse of a product, it's like saying we're going to sue Black and Decker because they manufacture irons that some people misuse or they burn themselves with them because it's faulty. It's an iron. If there's a defective product, yeah, the manufacturers can be sued. But if it's not, it is the responsibility of the users. That's where any sort of culpability or blame should be attached. So that's silly. And then he talks about marketing guns. Well, number one, and right off the top, that's a violation of the First Amendment. Manufacturers and dealers and people cannot be stopped by the government in how they promote their products, what they say, how they evaluate them, how they present them. It would be a violation of their First Amendment right of freedom of speech to infringe on that right. So that's also gobbledygook, as you pointed out earlier, here in California, marketing to minors. It's not like the gun manufacturers are saying, kids, go down to the gun store and buy an AR-15 or an AK-47 or some other any gun to use. No, marketing that occurs within the industry and within the shooting sports is, hey, here we have some youth models that are available and practical for youngsters who are getting into the sport or who are training to become competitive shooters, including our United States Olympic teams. These are youngsters, and the marketing is all about making products available for them to use as they grow in the shooting sports. So because some manufacturers get cute in their marketing schemes and they use skulls or they use other types of caricatures to market their guns, does not mean that they are marketing them to children. Your average child is not going to the Remington or the Winchester or the Ruger or the Browning or the Smith & Wesson or Colt websites and saying, oh, which guns are they marketing to us? Which guns do I want because they've got some sort of a unique marketing character that is being used to reach them. Heck, kids are more influenced by guns used in video games than anything else. That has nothing to do with the firearms industry. As a matter of fact, there are many occasions when you go to a youngster who's an avid gamer and you talk guns with them, and heck, they know a lot about guns. They know the difference between an M1 and an M1A and an M1 Garand because those are the guns that they use in their video games, and they know their capabilities, they know their calibers, they know how many rounds they can hold, and all of these things. But that's not from marketing from firearms industry. Those are games that they play to learn some of these things. So everything that the president talked about, embarrassingly, was wholly inaccurate. referring to things that are already part of the law and are addressed. And he is the scary part is that he is directing his administration, all of the three-letter agencies of government, to focus on influencing or everything they can do to prevent people from lawfully acquiring firearms and using them in lawful purposes. They want to put stumbling blocks and roadblocks so that it is harder for lawful citizens who use all of these products in a popular way for legal purposes, and they're trying to infringe on lawful citizens' ability to acquire firearms. That's the bottom line. This was just a PR opportunity by the president to take advantage of a tragedy that occurred because a deranged and criminal individual used a gun to kill people. None of the laws, none of the restrictions that the president is talking about would have had any impact at all. He keeps saying, we're going to ban assault weapons or we're going to ban high capacity magazines and all that. That's sheep dip, man, as John Wayne would say when he was referencing Bat Masterson.
That's actually the irony that I wanted to get your take on. So you talk about the irony here of, I want to talk about the placement. How intentional do you take this placement? Because what you're saying is true. None of the things that the president has talked about in this press conference would have stopped that man from doing it, yet he chose to go there and say those things anyways. But on the flip side, are people really not seeing that California already has all of these laws implemented? The background check system on every single firearms transaction, the high-capacity magazine ban, the locked storage, all of this stuff California has already implemented, and this happened anyways. So at some point, you have two routes that you can take, right? You can take the route that California continues to take and say, we just don't have enough laws. The other route that you can say is the laws that we're implementing are not working. So why is it that Joe Biden comes to a failed state to have this press conference and announce these things when they've already been implemented?
What you are saying is absolutely spot on correct. Here in California, where we have more gun laws than any other state in the union, we also have the dubious distinction of having more mass shootings than any other state in the union. The second place is Texas, and it's a distant second place, and they don't have any of the laws that we have. The average thinking person will say, well, if we have all these laws here in California and they don't have these laws in Texas and other states, and mass shootings are still happening, maybe the laws that we have, maybe it's not the laws. Maybe it's that we are not paying attention to the criminal, to the mentally ill people out there. We are not addressing issues like bullying and workplace violence or domestic violence or any of these things. And maybe we should be thinking about, so many of these shootings occur by people who have criminal records. And here in California, we are letting people who are convicted violent shooters, criminals, we're letting them out of prison early. And with the full knowledge, the policymakers in this Capitol in Sacramento and in Washington, D.C. know that all of these felons that come out of prisons, that about half of them are going to be back in prison for committing another violent crime within 3 years. So if you want to cut violent crime committed with guns, maybe we should keep criminals in prison for a longer time so that the time span between the time they're released and they commit their next crime is much greater. And there you will be able to address the issue of crime. They also don't talk about, they hate to think about the fact that most of the gun-related crime that we have in America occurs in a handful of democratically run municipalities across the country. The vast majority of that is gang crime, drug-related crime. And if you were to address those issues in a meaningful way, our crime statistics in America would plummet. But they're not interested in that. They don't believe that it is the criminal's fault that they go out and use a gun to commit a crime. They don't, they think it's the gun's fault, and it is the fault of law abiding citizens like you and me and the millions upon millions of gun owners throughout America. It's our fault that crime is being committed. And as long as they continue to go down that vein, we're going to continue to see crime, unfortunately. There was a time in our not too recent past where gun crime was on a steady decline. And it wasn't because of assault weapons bans or magazine bans or anything like that. It was because our criminal justice system was locking people up who commit crimes for long periods of time. That's what we have to get back to. We are in exactly the opposite position of that right now, where we are letting criminals out of prison left and right, and they are recommitting crimes and are heading back to prison. So the old revolving door of criminal justice has been put on steroids and is now pretty much the law of the land in so many of our states, and it shouldn't be that way. Also, we have millions upon millions of brand new gun owners, first-time gun owners in California and throughout the country. And why is that? It's because these people have come to the realization, finally, that they have to be their own first line of defense. They were watching on TV travesties that were happening in our cities, armed rebellion by radical leftists, police that were saying, "Hey, folks, you're going to have to be on your own. We're having to fight this crime here, and we don't have enough police officers and sheriff's deputies to send them out to your home to help you when you need the help most. So you're going to have to be your own first line of defense." And that's what people are doing. And that is exercising a God-given constitutional right to acquire whatever firearm anybody needs to defend themselves in their homes, in their travels, in their businesses. And that's what we are going back towards.
Yeah, it's also the true, I mean, kind of the true meaning of personal or self-responsibility, especially when it comes to responsibility for your family. You want to be able to rely on yourself, which is why we push this so much, which is why it needs to be a right, which is why we push training. I think you did hit the nail on the head there for sure. We've seen plenty of statistics nationwide. You know, the one that sticks out to me the most, I'll have to find it and present it in a video at some point, but it was a map of Florida. They were having some severe crime issues. You know what the sheriff did there? He started implementing CCWs. He blasted it out all over social media and interviews and all this stuff, and you literally saw the crime trend in Florida go down and the crime trend in surrounding states go up. That's pretty indicative of, hey, we're going to start arming people. The criminals go away. So, you know, that's something that we've definitely seen. And we've seen so many definition changes, especially by the anti-Second Amendment Democrats in California and nationwide. When you start talking about assault rifles and clip magazine perch, whatever they say, firing 30,000 rounds per 0.2 seconds. You know, they claim all this stuff, but at the end of the day, I think we do need to start enforcing this aspect of, we don't need gun control, we need crime control. I just watched, if you haven't seen California Insider, that's a YouTube channel that's coming up, getting a lot of views these days. That gentleman just did an interview with, I think it was a DA from Yolo County, who was very much talking about how crime trends in California, even though they continue to tell us they're going down, they are certainly going up. And they veil that with the fact that a lot of people just don't report crimes anymore. But anyways, something that we're definitely going to keep our eye on. We're going to keep our eye on the president and our governor as this 2024 presidential election comes up. Sam, I'd love to have you on in the future to continue talking about this, but I certainly wanted to say thank you for being with us today.
You know, it's like I said, a pleasure and an honor to be with you. And you know what, for all of you listeners, all of you watchers, remember, this is the best time in our lifetimes to be a supporter of the Second Amendment. In our partnership with the California Rifle and Pistol Association and Gun Owners of California, we develop a strategic partnership to work together to file lawsuits that will restore the Second Amendment. And we are winning left and right here in California very soon, just like, and thank you, CRPA, for leading the fight on the overturning of the roster laws here in California. uh, So-called assault weapons, magazines and ammunition, billy clubs, 10-day waiting periods, all of these things are coming down the pike next, and we are on the winning side. And it's a pleasure and an honor to be in partnership with you folks, your entire team, and our entire group to file lawsuits, not only in California, but throughout the country, because we know that victories in other states will ultimately lead to victories here in California. So this is about the heart and soul of our rights to protect ourselves and our homes and our businesses and our travels. And I am very honored to be a part of that team. And like I said earlier, when we first got together today, I'm living the dream right now, man. I've been doing this since 1980, and it has been frustrating for a very long time. Now we are winning everything, and we will continue to win as long as people subscribe to this channel, share it with other people, become members of the organizations that are leading the fight on your behalf. You can sit on the couch and do nothing but be an active member of restoring your own Second Amendment rights by simply being a supporter, a financial supporter, or a member of CRPA or Gun Owners of California, or any of the other groups that are in the middle of the fight, in the arena to restore the Second Amendment. So, man, I look forward to getting together with you again and talking about some unbelievable victories that are about to come our way.
Yeah, and the feeling is mutual, and trust me, you know, the work and the partnership is definitely appreciated on our side. You being up there in the Capitol, just like Rick Travis is, lobbying these politicians, it definitely matters, and it definitely goes a long way, and it definitely shows. Uh,
100%.
yeah, so thank you very much, Sam, for all the work you do, and yeah, we're definitely looking forward to seeing you next time.
It's my pleasure.
Well, I got to say, I couldn't really plug it as well as Sam just did, but I'll try anyways. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We have less than 1,000 subscribers to go to hit our goal of 10,000. So that could be you. Be sure and drop the subscription today. It really helps us with the algorithm to get this information out to as many people as possible. Thanks, you guys, and we'll see you on the next one.